Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode 5 of Asia Rugby Live. Real talk, real rugby. And as we continue to talk about hashtag return to play, we're going to talk about a few things, of course. And this episode, we're going to talk about the Unstoppables program, which, of course, part of the return to play as we've been talking about it for the past few episodes. And of course, talking about the Unstoppables, we have a few special guests on the show today. We have the selectors of the show, and also we have, for the first time ever on the show on Asia Rugby Live, I have a co-host on the show. So I hope it's going to be smooth. I hope it's not going to be weird for me because I've never had a co-host for this show, especially online. Of course, live I've done it before, but online, let's see if Ada Milby, the first person I'm going to introduce to you guys on this show, who's going to be co-hosting with me, who is the former captain of the Philippines national women's team, 15s and 7s. She is the current president for Philippine Rugby Union, Asia Rugby Executive Committee member, and she chairs the Women's Advisory Committee and sits on World Rugby Council as representative for Asia. She is one of the drivers promoting the acceleration and visibility of women in rugby throughout Asia towards achieving the aim of rugby a sport for all. Okay, just now I introduced you guys Ada Milby, which is supposed to co-host with me. She has some connection issues. Probably I'm going to introduce you guys to the two selectors who are on the show today, which is Alana and also Gaelle Olivier. Okay, I'm going to introduce you guys. The closest to me first, based in Hong Kong, Gaelle Olivier, who is the Chief Executive Officer for Société Générale. Okay, I hope I pronounced that right in Asia Pacific. So Société Générale is one of the leading European financial services group, is a major sponsor of rugby worldwide and in our region, and Gaelle is a sport lover and especially keen on ultra trail running and yoga practice. She aims to dedicate 1 hour to sport every day of the week, and in her personal and professional capacity, Gaelle is a strong believer that sport enables gender equality and specifically empowering girls and women. So that's a long intro for you guys. So probably you can you can tell me, can you tell us about your own unstoppable journey, Gaelle?
Thank you for this, and thank you for the warm welcome. Very happy to be with you. Very happy to be part of this unstoppable journey and journey. Always difficult to say what is my unstoppable journey. I hesitate between my personal life with 4 kids, 4 sons, my professional life with a lot to do at work and responsibilities, but also a lot of fun, or my personal life individually as trying to push the boundaries of what I feel I can achieve. So maybe it's a mix of all this, trying to challenge myself, challenge the status quo, push the boundaries of what I think is possible.
Oh, great. Thank you for coming on the show with us, and probably you can share with us some of your thoughts on this Unstoppable programs later. And second person I would like to introduce to you is Alana, who is the 88th player capped to play for the Australian women's rugby team, the Wallaroos, representing them between 2006 to 2010. And she then transitioned into coaching, progressing through coaching club and state representative teams, winning the Victorian Premiership with Melbourne Unicorns in 2017. An achievement that led to her winning the Rugby Australia Community Coach of the Year. In 2017, she was appointed coach of the Melbourne Rebels team in new national competition, the Super W, and she is still in that role today. And just now, I was asking some questions about the Melbourne Rebels, and of course, with the experience that you have previously when you played, that helped a lot in your role today, Elena.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me tonight. It's a great honour to be on here, and also to have gone through the Unstoppables and coming up with our final 15. But yeah, having a playing background has really helped me, I think, as a coach to connect with the players and be able to communicate with them. And I've been really fortunate in my journey as a player to have done some fantastic things, seen the world, and made some lifelong friends along that way. And for me, I just feel I have an obligation to give back to the sport, to make sure that, I'm 88th player to play for the Wallaroos. I hope that we'll get to 988 long when I'm gone from the world. And if we've done that, if that happens, then we've done a great job of making sure that we've built a sustainable game, not just in Australia, but worldwide.
Great. I'm sure you two ladies have contributed a lot, especially to women's rugby. By at least being the selector for the Unstoppables, and of course, Ada, are you back? Yeah, Ada is back. So just now, Ada, I gave a long introduction of you. Anyway, so yeah, guys, this is my co-host of the day, Ada Milby, who is also a World Rugby Council member. So Ada, I'm not sure why. So why aren't you on the selection panel list for the Unstoppables?
Why wasn't I on the panel list? Well,
yeah,
for us, the selection process was really important that we had an unbiased view to looking at the stories and reflecting on the amazing women that are throughout the region. So it's sort of like recognizing that I know some people better than other people, and other people on an internal selection group would know other people better than others. We wanted to remove all bias, all conscious or unconscious bias into the selection process, which is why we engaged an external panel from either outside of the direct rugby space or outside of the region, which is why we had Rachel Burford, Alana Thomas, and of course, Gaelle Olivier to help facilitate this process, because we got it down to our top 32 from a total of 84 candidates that were nominated from all of the countries. And we just knew that it was going to be way too hard for us to decide on a final Unstoppable ambassador list. So we took the task and we outsourced it to some other amazing women who we knew we could entrust with that process, and to really look at it with an objective eye and see who are really the inspiring stories and what rugby values are in actions to be able to come up with the final list.
That's great. I think you have a world-class selection panelists for the Unstoppables, and I'm quite happy. One thing I would like to know, I'm quite happy one of my countrymen is one of the top 16 of Unstoppables. So yes, thank you very much. Anyway, Ada, probably you want to ask just now I asked two questions already. Probably Ada, you can continue with the third question to our guest today.
Sure. And Rod, you're an example of why we didn't have an internal panel. Look, you're like, oh yeah, go Malaysia. This is exactly the reason we had to outsource.
Yeah, I know, right?
At any rate, Alana, I just want to pick up on you saying you were the 88th capped player. I know you said you stopped playing, and I think your last test was in 2010. Is that right?
2007 was my last test, and then in the squad till 2010.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay, so you were in the squad till 2010, and I guess my question is, how much has women in rugby, or how much has rugby changed in that time from 2007, 2010 until now, and how has the support changed in that time frame?
It is like a lifetime ago. If you look at rugby now, the support, the visibility, the competitions that we've got is just fantastic. And, I look back at, when I was playing and there was hardly any visibility, there wasn't much television rights to the game. You'll very rarely see women's rugby on TV, whereas now, Olympics, we saw the Olympics in Rio with the sevens game, and, that just exploded after that here in Australia. We just had so much growth in non-traditional areas as well. And I think that also came about with the HSBC Sevens tour, having more visibility on that across TV around the world, having it played alongside the men, and having tournaments together, and then test matches again, more test matches for women. There's more visibility, and it comes back to, if you can see it, you can be it. And that's something that I think is such an important part, is that visibility. We've got great sponsors coming on board now that are right behind the women's teams that they sponsor. And I think it's just totally changed the landscape. And, it's only the tip of the iceberg in my view. I can't wait to see what happens in another 10 years when we actually see, hopefully, players becoming full-time professional athletes, and they're able to concentrate their whole time on it rather than having to juggle work, studies or their home life. they can be full-time athletes. So I think that that's still to come. But yeah, it's just changed so much in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I can remember 10 years ago that when I was trying to look on YouTube for women's rugby games, and I think there was maybe 3 games I found on YouTube. It was just sort of a couple clips and a couple highlights here, but there was really nothing available. How do you think that technology has accelerated the exposure or raising the profile of women in, I mean, women's rugby, but women in sport, really?
Oh, I think the technology's got advanced so much that it's just so accessible for everyone now. And, you know, you can get on multiple different platforms and share videos and share clips and connect with people around the world. So technology has a massive role to play there. And just having games that are now telecast, I think, is the big one for me, is that visibility and on TV where the general public can watch it. And then you get all your social media spin off that with the highlights, reels and interviews and accessibility to players and the environment. So yeah, technology has played a big part in that.
Yeah, and speaking of technology, I mean, that really ties really well into the next question that I have for Gaelle, in the sense that there are so many of these unstoppable stories, these women in Asia from tiny villages or from, you know, river places that we never would have heard of prior to today. And so Gaelle, I know that Société Générale has done a tremendous job. You're doing a lot of projects empowering women and girls throughout Asia. Can you tell us a bit more about your experience of reading the stories of the women throughout this campaign?
Yes, thank you, Anna. You know, it's, I think, more than 30 years that Société Générale has been sponsoring rugby, trying also to promote diversity, inclusion within the workforce, but also wider than just in our company. And it's the first time I'm the member of this jury. And I must say, initially, I didn't have much expectation, just because I didn't know so much what the process was and what could come out of it. And to nourish the jury, we had 2 main things. One was a video to present the 32 candidates that we reviewed. And one was a PowerPoint file sharing 1 page per candidate. And I must say, I started to open the PowerPoint to listen to the video, and I've been extremely impressed. Because all these stories of the 32 panelists and candidates were unique. They were, for each one of them, a story of an individual, a personality, which had raised through rugby, developed its own way of living through rugby, building on the values of rugby in terms of team spirit, in terms of grit, being passionate, having fun, challenging the status quo, not accepting that rugby would be only a sport for men in their countries, setting the examples, helping others, contributing to the communities. And so I was extremely impressed. These 32 panelists were coming from 32 different countries. So I think I was amazed that in a relatively short amount of time, in a selection process, I was exposed to so much diversity in terms of culture, so much diversity in terms of experience on rugby, but so much quality on the people in the panel. And for us, it was extremely complicated and difficult to select, I must say. We had to select 15 out of 32. We ended up selecting 16 because we struggled to differentiate a few of them. And you know, 16 candidates, these were top candidates of 32, which were already top candidates. So I was extremely impressed by these women. And I felt very humble myself, having been living in a country where rugby was there. It was not a game obvious for women, even if at school I was lucky enough to be able to practice rugby, but it was still there. It was relatively easy to join a club and play rugby, which was not the case for most of the candidates that we have seen through the jury. And so really hats off for these women, because they are driving their lives in a way which is asking or showing I have a lot of respect for these women. Sorry for my long answer, but really I felt these are amazing role models for all of us.
No, I think it's absolutely
Gaelle, you don't have to
awesome.
apologize for giving a long answer at all. I think that the women who are tuning in today will have really appreciated those words and knowing that they've reached not only somebody within the region, but outside of the space of rugby.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. And I think I just want to remind our viewers. So if you have any questions for any of our panelists today, for Alana or for Gaelle or even for Ada, please comment down below and we'll try to relay your questions. And of course, our panelists today and also Ada will try their best, their level best. Of course, you can see by Gaelle's answer just now, very very long answer. So you can see how passionate these people are. Talking about not only rugby, women's rugby particularly. And I think I want to ask one question to you, Gaelle. Just now you mentioned about all these stories which are very unique on their own. So probably you can share with us one of the stories that really captured your attention, that you can really remember their story of Unstoppable until now.
Yeah, I think each one of them caught my attention, to be honest, Rod. There was none of these women who had a kind of walk in the park. It was really going beyond the usual stance of their lives and going into rugby and doing something out of it. So it's very difficult to answer your question. I have many stories coming back to my mind. Maybe one which resonated slightly more is one from Mui Thomas. Mui has been playing rugby as a way also to find her own way in society. She has a skin disease, and rugby was a way for her to integrate within a team and to contribute and play a role. And she loved rugby, and it developed into rugby being her passion and helping us and helping her to find her role in society. And I find that rugby is this, for me at least, is a synonym for these human values and being close to others, helping others. And so I thought the example of Mui Thomas was a great example for all of us. Not accepting difficult situations in life, going beyond and finding your own space is very powerful.
Yeah, Gaelle, you're 100% right. It's really difficult to sort of pick out just one story out of all the stories. They're really amazing. And on that, I'm actually just going to throw it back to you, Alana, and I'm going to put you on the spot as well and say, is there a particular story that really resonated with you or stood out to you? I'm glad it's not being asked of me to answer this question.
I'm very much like Gaelle, like all the stories of the 32, not just the 16. They're all so unique, their own journeys. They're authentic in terms of what they've gone through, the different experiences, whether they're players, coaches, administrators, board members. It's just to sit there. We actually sat down as a family on a Saturday night and went through all of the profiles, and I sort of finished it and I just felt so empowered hearing their stories and so honoured to have been able to read and hear these extraordinary stories and the journeys. And whilst they're all unique and different, the common theme is the rugby values and rugby and the way that they're changing their lives, but they're creating a pathway and a future for other girls that will come in their footsteps and follow them and changing or creating a new future for women in rugby. And I can't pick one out of the whole lot. I think it was just so unique. And as I said, as a family, we sat down and read all of them. And it was, you sort of walked away from that going, wow, how lucky are we in our sport to have such great women. And this is only one region. This is the Asia region, and how fantastic is it?
Yeah, Alana, I think you've made a really good point as far as the top 32. And I know that, some of the women that are listening to this today might be a bit disappointed that they weren't selected in the top 16, so to speak. But But really what we're talking about is celebrating all of the women, all of the stories, not even just the 32, but really the top 84, and recognizing that we're really here to celebrate women in sport, women in rugby, women in Asia. And so, please don't take this as discounting or taking away from your own unstoppable journey, despite the fact that you're not in the top 16.
But Ada, I think we have heard about Gail's and Alana's stories that caught their attention. What about you, Ada? You must have gone through the videos as well, right?
Rod, I already said I was thankful to be asking the questions today, not having to answer the questions.
I just want to catch you off guard.
Well, of course, I'm going to have a lot of my own biases. I know some of these women on a very personal level. I think the story of Sarah from Syria is incredible. As far as, even though she's only been involved for a couple of years, she's the first match official, so the first female Arab match official in her country. I think that's incredible. I'm also really inspired to read this story from Christabel out of Singapore. I think, for me, I'm not a referee. I call myself a closet match official. I like to make all the calls when I'm watching the TV, but I I don't have the guts to get up there and have to boss everyone around on the field. So really, all the stories were really great and unique. Those are two that I really identified with, mostly because I could never see myself being a match official.
Right. That's okay. At least we got a perspective from you. But yeah, Sarah's story is quite unique as well. I have to agree with you. Okay, continue. I think we have some comments on Facebook. Let's cue some comments on Facebook. Let us see what are the comments. Ada, I have no question for you. However, I want to praise you and say I'm proud of all the great things that you are doing. Keep it up. Oh, it's from the Mr. President himself, Mr. Kais Al-Dana. So yeah, Ada, there you go. Well done.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. And in fact, really, all of this wouldn't be possible without the support of the Asia Rugby Executive Committee and the support of President Kais. So really, it's really a team effort, and it's one team to make it happen.
And the Johnny Stavrino, our CEO, is an honor and privilege for Asia Rugby to have such supreme ambassadors and role models part of the Unstoppables selection. A big heartfelt thank you all. Another one. There you go. Our bosses giving the thumbs up. Thank you very much, Johnny, and thank you very much, Kais, for the wonderful comments. And it's good to know that there are people watching. So yeah, to share the Unstoppables stories with everyone, of course, and I'm sure you guys, we at Asia Rugby, we are really glad to have Alana and Gaelle around. And moving forward, I think probably I want to ask Gaelle, what are the challenges that did you overcome in your leadership journey, and what do you think are some of the biggest challenges facing women wanting to play sport or take their career to the next level?
Thank you, Rod, for the tough question. I would say for me the biggest challenge for a woman is to not accept to be put into a mold and in a preconceived scheme. And I think it calls still for a lot of our grit to move the boundaries and to demonstrate that we can do jobs where people would not necessarily see ourselves. And that's how I took my career development up to now, not accepting jobs just because people felt that that was the next job for me, but more because that was a challenge that resonated with me, that was meaningful to me, that I wanted to take, that was exciting for me, with people that were with whom I wanted to take up this challenge. So that was really for me a key driver in my leadership journey. And when I thought about it, I thought, for me, it's a little bit like when I started skydiving. I didn't think so much about the risk attached to trying something new, getting into the unknown, but I really focused on enjoying the journey. And I think that would be an advice for me to all the women. Focus first on trying to do something that is meaningful to you and that you enjoy doing. The rest will come naturally because you will demonstrate how powerful, how passionate, and how good you are in what you do. So accept to move beyond the preconceived schemes, go into the unknown, take the challenges which are exciting to you and go for it.
What else don't you do, Gaelle? Mother of 4, skydiving, what? Contact rugby probably, join the Melbourne Rebels.
I did touch rugby. I loved it. I discovered it in Singapore and I tried a few times with my teams back then and I really loved touch rugby, yes.
Right.
But I found it very tiring. Like you never stop running back and forth, always.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things that put you where you are right now, where you are today as a CEO of Société Générale for Asia Pacific. As I think these things that you have done in the past made you who you are, and I think the Unstoppable program is all about that. It's exposing what these young girls, these ladies, what they have done in the past before, and to expose them and also to put them out there, to put the struggles and to share what they are going through. To say that what, especially in Asia, if you talk about sports and women, it doesn't jive. But in the past, but now I think probably Ada, you can relate with me on this matter, right? So it's evolving for the better, I guess. Yeah, Ada.
Yeah, I think that Alana would probably agree with me that we still have a long way to go, but it's undoubtedly the most progress that we've seen in such a short amount of time since the beginning of the women's programs globally. I think that the amount of work that's happened and the amount of growth that's happened in the last few years has really been exponential. It's really been astronomical, which I think is really cool because that's my next question for Alana, in that, Gaelle has spoken a lot about some of the challenges that she overcame. And I think that as an organization and as a sport, there's still a lot that we can do to make the environment or create a more inviting space. So I guess, Alana, you've got a lot of experience, and I think you probably have some ideas on what you think we can do to create an environment that encourages a gender-neutral view to the sport, right? Field hockey has done a great job of something like that. And when you look at field hockey, you just say hockey, and it's for boys and it's for girls. And what do you think that we can do to make rugby fall into the same category?
Yeah, like hockey, as I say, you see hockey and it's hockey. In terms of for rugby, I think it is about really creating competitions for girls and being able to bring them through, and whether that's through our sevens pathways or playing touch rugby as a start and then bringing them through. I think that is what's important, is creating the environment, is creating the competitions, creating the support around that in clubs, and encouraging those players to come in and try, and whether it's come and try rugby days, whether it's having gala days and getting into schools, I think is really important that we create that environment and those competitions for the young girls to come in, and it becomes the normal. Rather than seeing one or two girls playing with the boys, having girls competitions, having celebrations of women in rugby, and whether that's officials or whether it's players, is doing that regularly and celebrating when we have those days, and then it will continue to grow. And I think 2016 Rio Olympics, the growth globally of women's rugby went through the roof, and I'm sure Asia Rugby saw a massive growth after that time as well. And in some regions, it may even be that women's rugby is growing faster than men. So it's about creating a sport that it becomes the normal, and it comes normal from school right through to adulthood. You've got women's comps, girls comps, whether, again, I said sevens or 15s, it's normal, and you see boys and girls playing, men and women playing, and it will become the norm. And again, it's about having people, whether they're players, match officials, administrators, having them visible and being able to celebrate them, just like we're doing with the 16 Unstoppables, is to showcase the diversity of people that we've got within our women's game and celebrating them. And then people will come and generate a profile that'll just grow the game further.
Yeah, you're spot on. It's really about as you said earlier, about the visibility, creating profile, and making sure that we've got equal opportunities for boys, girls, women, and men to participate in competitions and those pathways.
And that's really
Definitely.
important to say.
If I may rebound on what Alana says, I think there's an important message also. It's to make it normal. And I think it's extremely important that women, girls around the world identify that, yes, it's completely normal to go into sports and to have a career and to develop yourself and to be able to be your best self in the environment that you choose. And I think that's a message that we can convey as well through the rugby and through the sports, building confidence in women, in girls, to do what they want to do.
Gaelle, I think you're a perfect example of a woman who's been able to balance career and family and jumping off of airplanes and going after what you want. And really, it's not necessarily about an either or. You don't have to choose career or family. You don't have to choose sport or career. There are opportunities to find balance between all of the things that you want to pursue. So thanks for sharing that. I think that's a really important message.
There's probably I want to ask the next question to Alana. What has helped you get to where you are, and what advice would you have for others who want to set off in a similar direction?
I think the key thing for me is opportunity. I've been really fortunate to have come into rugby as a player and had opportunities, and I only started playing rugby in 2001 when I was at university, and some girls came in and said, do you want to come and play rugby? And that's how I got into it. I'd never played it before. So that was an opportunity that came up, and I just took it and fell in love with the sport. And then it was just about playing and enjoying and having fun, because I think the thing with sport is it's about having fun and enjoying yourself with like-minded people. And for me, that was what it was all about. And then as I got the opportunities to go through as a player and represent at different levels, and then on to representing my country, I just enjoyed it. It was never, I never saw it as anything but just playing sport and having fun. And to surround yourself with really good people. As I transitioned into coaching, I was really fortunate to have some really good role models and advocates for me in a coach education role, with our coach education manager, Nick Henderson, here at the Rebels at the time, was really supportive of coming in and getting me into coaching courses and giving me opportunities with state level teams in academies and developing my craft as a coach and continuing to help me along my journey and being really supportive. So that's a big thing that I think as you transition, if you're transitioning as a player to coach or as an administrator or as a referee, you surround yourself by some really good people that you can have honest conversations with you and can help you and open doors for you, because that's what we need to do more of for our women, and continue to grow those networks to keep lifting the women up and giving them opportunities. Because the one thing I get as a coach is you don't have enough experience, but to get experience, you've got to be afforded opportunities. So surround yourself with good people, take opportunities when they come, because sometimes opportunities will come up. They won't come at the perfect time when you want them. They might come up at a really busy time in your life. So don't knock them back, take them, and surround yourself by good people that can support you in that.
There you go. Surround yourself with good people. What about you, Gaelle? What has helped you to get where you are, and advices that you want to give to people, to others who want to set off in a similar direction of probably career or probably life?
I think in continuity with what Alana said, which I'm fully in sync with, it's about also going on the playing field. You never learn as much as when you play. And so go for it. Don't stay on the bench. Go on the playing field, play your game, be yourself. And that's the best way to identify what you can do, where you need to develop, and how you can grow further, both your capabilities and your own personality. And I think one important message, by the way, for both boys and girls, I think sport is a way to accept your body, get more accustomed to who you are in your own body, and build interactions with your friends and with society at large. And I think it's a great way to develop your own personality and to develop yourself. And therefore, it's a great way to prepare yourself to go into the professional world, because if you have done sports before, then you know yourself better. You know yourself about how you are being tired or not. You know how to breathe, you know how to anchor yourself in the field and identify the right opportunities, play with the right people, and move forward, bounce forward. And I think in a time like we are living today, in a global pandemic, which has been there for more than 1 year now, the ability to bounce forward is extremely important. And when you do sports, there is always a time where you miss a game, you lose, you fail, and you learn how to bounce back and move forward and get back your level of energy and enter again into the playing field, because there is more to win and to live in moving forward than just to stay and to lament yourself because you failed. So I think sport is also an extremely good teacher of life every day.
I think all of us here can agree you can be a very good motivational speaker. Really, really good. Ada, okay, I think since we are in this topic, I want to ask you this question, Ada. Probably you can, a lot of ladies out there who are involved in rugby can, can have the same view. How to get where you are right now, to be in World Rugby, to be involved in the Asia Rugby Council, and yeah, basically to be, I wouldn't say it's the top yet, to be up there at World Rugby. So how do you aspire young ladies to be where you are?
I thought I was supposed to be asking the questions tonight, Rod. What's going on? You're spinning it around on me. For me, I suppose it's really about staying true to your passion. I've never had an aspiration necessarily to sit on the Asia Rugby Exco or to be the president of the Philippine Rugby Union or to sit on the World Rugby Council. It's really just about being passionate about wanting to help more people, do more things, help develop rugby. And that's really the agenda that drives me. I don't really have any sort of words of wisdom, I suppose, in that sense, because I think that if you stay true to your passion and you stay true to your purpose, then the opportunities do show up for you. Although in saying that, I would also say that one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in my own journey is recognizing that as women, we're not trying to take over the world. We're not trying to take over the male space. What we're trying to do is create a diverse space and contribute to the conversation to make sure that we're coming up with the best outcomes. So I suppose in my view, it's really about recognizing that it is important to build your team, and that team means also having a diverse group of people that think like you, that think differently than you, and that's how you're going to end up being able to find the best outcomes in any situation.
Yeah, probably your first step would be being unstoppable. Probably. Anyway, we have we have one last question for Facebook. Ada, you gonna now you have the chance to ask them. There you go.
All right, who are your leadership role models that you look up to or admire?
I looked up to a lot of female netballers as a kid growing up, because it was the main female sport here in Australia. And back in the day when it was an amateur sport, was a lady by the name of Liz Ellis, who went on to be an Australian netball captain. She also was studying to be a lawyer, And when the game went semi-professional and they were starting to be paid for games, she actually retired from the game and is now a big advocate and working in behind the scenes with the Players Association and setting up collective bargaining agreements and the things like that. So I really looked up to her growing up as a kid to aspire to be someone who was just a hardworking, honest athlete. And then as I've transitioned into coaching, I've looked up to a couple of netball coaches in Simone Mcinnis, who was an ex-Australian netballer and who has transitioned and is now a successful coach, winning a couple of netball titles here in Australia. And the way that she's gone about it and her transition from player to coach and how she develops her athletes and develops them not just as players but as people away from the court. And I think that's a massive part now as coaches, is to be able to empower and impact our players' lives, not just on the field but off the field, and help them to be the best versions of themselves. And Simone's someone that I feel really does that and has always got time to have a chat or a coffee with you and share and bounce ideas off. So they're probably a couple that I've really looked up to, both as an athlete and now as a coach.
On my side, I've been inspired by many women. I would not say that one specifically is my role model, even though I can identify a few ones, notably in my family, who have definitely inspired me in my life. One of them is my grandmother. She has been playing tennis until she was 90 years old, 90, and she has been living her life fully with honesty and courage until she was 106 years old. So I find that it's quite an inspiring journey to try to replicate, living a good life, doing what you want to do, what you can do, and be true to yourself, I think is an important message.
Wow, there you go. And Ada, okay, probably, Ada has a set of rapid fire questions. So, Ada.
Yes, so it's the lightning round time. So these are questions that are impromptu. They only require, you have to answer it as quickly as possible, and you can only answer with a couple of words or a few short sentences. So this is just for fun, and just so we can get to know a little bit more about you two. So I'll ask the question first, and then I guess Gaelle, you can answer, and then Alana, you can answer, and then we'll just continue to go in that round. Cool?
Cool.
Okay, are you ready? Because I can't do something without playing a game. Okay, here we go. First sport you ever played?
Tennis.
Rugby league.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Transport myself, like in Star Trek. So I could be in France in 1 hour time, see my kids back in Europe, and go back to Asia to work.
I would, the ability to fly so I can get around and see all my family around Australia.
And fly over the COVID. Okay, next question. Best advice you were ever given?
Go for it.
If it's meant to be, it's up to me.
Okay, worst advice you were ever given?
Forgot.
You can't do it.
Okay, and I've got to flip it so that Gaelle has equal time to think a little bit longer than Alana. All right, if you were going to write a book, what would the book be about?
How good sport is.
I would write about the future.
Okay, what would the title be?
Life after your life.
Sport for all.
Good, okay. If you were hosting a dinner party, which 3 guests would you invite, dead or alive?
Liz Ellis will have to be one. I'd love to have my dad at the table, and Oh, I can't think of a third.
Richie McCaw.
No. John Eales is a rugby player.
Okay.
Tough one. I would love to have a dinner with Björn Borg, Nelson Mandela, and Frida Kahlo.
Oh, wow. Good names also. Okay, last question. What's the one thing you want viewers to remember from tonight?
The 16 Unstoppables.
Nothing can stop us, and nothing can stop you if you are true to who you are and what you want to do.
Love it. Ah, so good. Thank you for playing the game.
Thank you for the invite.
A really
Thanks
good one.
really
Ada,
to
probably.
Alana and Gaelle, both of you, for
Yeah,
sharing
and
your
probably
inspirational
Ada.
journeys.
Yeah, probably Ada. We can have you more on the show in the future as a co-host, so that you can ask all these rapid fire questions. Thank you very much for that.
Well, I'll just plant the seed. I'm happy for you to take it, steal it, and use it.
I might just do that in the future, and probably we might just force you to be the co-host of Asia Rugby Live in the future as well. So anyway, Alana, Gaelle, thank you very much for being on the show. Thank you very much for spending time. Thank you very much, Gaelle, for staying back in the office to be on the show with us. Things like this, we really appreciate your sacrifices. You not only to share your views, not only to share your experiences with people, to inspire, especially ladies out there. And this Unstoppable program has been, I would say, a great program for ladies in Asia, especially. And this has been something that ladies in Asia look forward to every year to be part of the Unstoppables program. And Ada, thank you very much for being the co-host for this show. And like I said just now, and that was sincere, okay? We might just force you to be on the next show. Who knows? Kura might just give you a call and say, hey, Ada, get ready now. We need you to be on the show with 15 rapid fire questions or something like that. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for being on the show. And to you guys, don't forget to be with us on Asia Rugby Live next week. I'm Rod, and that's Ada, Gaelle, and Alana. And this is Asia Rugby Live. Goodbye.
Hey everybody, it's Rachel Burford here. I just wanted to say a huge congratulations to everybody who took part in the Unstoppables programme. It was a really difficult task picking and selecting some of you, because all the stories were so inspiring and really fascinating and really enjoyable to read and know what people are doing around the world. So I'm really, really privileged to be a part of that, and I just want to say a huge congratulations to the work that everybody's doing in whatever space it is. Keep it on, because we're right behind you.